You're listening to The White Rabbit, conversations on the art of presenting in a rather noisy world. Your hosts are Matt Krause and Alper Rozanes. Matt helps leaders of international companies speak, write, and present with confidence. Alper is an author, communications trainer, and a startup investor with a diverse portfolio of companies in Barcelona. If you like this podcast, please share with your friends and colleagues. Now, on to Matt and Alper for today's conversation.
So Alper,
We're going to start with Alper. Yes, you are going to start with Alper.
I'll start with something different this time.
Hi, Alper.
Radical difference, a radical change. I'll just start with Alper this time. It's okay. Still not that radical, but at least it's a little bit different. Okay, here we go. Alper, so this week, let's see, in the last couple weeks, so the first week we did principles 1 and 2, which was market and value proposition, right?
Yes.
And then in the episode after that, so we did principle number 3, which was, I forget what was number 3. What was number 3?
It was timing. The third criteria was timing.
Okay.
To give a context, if someone is listening to this episode for the first time, we are talking about the 6 criterias that investors look at when deciding on whether to keep on talking to a project or not in terms of investing. And these 6 criterias are coming from my mentor here, Mathieu. And if our listeners are interested, they can go to the show notes to find out more about him, which I strongly encourage.
Yeah, I think I mentioned on one of the episodes, but if you're just tuning in, so definitely, I've had the pleasure of meeting Mathieu a couple times, and if you haven't already, then I highly recommend going down to the show notes and following those links in the show notes, because his 6 principles, anytime he speaks on this topic, it's extremely interesting. And so you can go to him for an articulation of the principles. It's better than anything that we can do. So our main job is here on this podcast is just to translate how would you take these principles and represent them in a presentation, represent them on a slide. So that's the main angle that we're coming at from today. So Alper, remind me, what's the 4th principle that we'll be discussing today?
The 4th one is the team who is going to be leading the project. So team. For example, if you think, the team, the managing team. So, for example, if you think of the startup as an ocean liner, let's say, the team is like the captain.
Okay.
And just like, as far as I know, in every ship there is only one captain with the highest ranking, and in the project there can be, founding partners, founding members with equal shares, etc. But usually there is one person, the CEO, with more exposure to the investors. So, but in this criteria, we're not talking about only this person, himself or herself. We're talking about the entire team. Because basically,
let me interrupt you here. So
go ahead.
Go ahead. So we're talking about the presenters are describing their team. And so what is the main interest of the investor? The investor is sitting there or the potential investor is sitting there thinking, who am I sending my money to, or who's driving this thing forward? Is that what's going through their mind?
In a sense, yes, but not on a personal basis, like whether do I like this person or not. Of course, it's an important factor as well, but there are more primary questions that is going through my mind. For example, when I hear the part about the team, you remember in value proposition, they have told me about a business plan, the value proposition that they're bringing onto the table. So basically the questions that go through my mind about the team is, are they going to be able to pull it off? I mean, they gave me a business plan. Are they going to be able to pull this off? Or are they going to be able to contribute to the growth of this project, of this company? And basically the main question at the end of the day is, will they be able to create the business environment that will be able to give me the return on my investment? Because at the end of the day, that's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
And yes, business plan is a part of it. The value proposition is a part of it. But like I said, the team is a driving force behind this startup project. So it's important that they can demonstrate their capabilities. Now, but I also want to highlight something else. Almost in all startup presentations, investor presentations, you see team members who are capable. They have skills. They have dedicated themselves to the project, and they declare this. But the thing is, this is standard. Like, if I have never heard, for example, from a team member saying, well, we have this project, but we're not that passionate about it, or we're not that dedicated on this project. So everybody is dedicated. Everybody is capable. So this is like the most basic. So in a sense, it's almost unnecessary to include that in the presentation, include that in the slide. Because, I mean, can you imagine a team member saying this and I would be like, well, yes, I'm still excited about your project, so I still want to invest. No, I mean, the moment I feel that it's done, it's very easy. I just get out. So these are not pluses that should be included. Just like, since we're talking about the slide, I see most of the time like a photo of the team member, his or her name, and underneath like logos of the universities or educational institutions that they have attended, or the logos of the places they have worked. Okay, I understand. These are important, but these are like the basic necessities. So the thing that I want to see on the slide is more about the questions that I mentioned. How are you going to make this ship go forward? How are you going to execute the business plan that you shared with me? Okay. But apart from this, do you have questions, or should I continue? Because I will continue.
Oh, please do continue. Please do continue.
Okay. Apart from this, there is one parameter of the team that I really want to see, and we can discuss about how to show this on a slide, but maybe it's more about the conversation that they're going to have is, do you either have the managing skills, or are you willing to improve yourself in that area? Because many people, I mean, almost everyone can claim that they have expertise, they have the skill set and everything. But at the end of the day, the management skills, managing of a company or of people, is maybe the single most, no, not the single most, but it's a very big indicator of whether you will be able to take this company from a 20-person startup to a 2,000 big company. And management skills play a crucial role in that. So in the presentation, in the conversation, in all the interaction that I have with the founders, with the startup founders, I want to see that, yes, in the long term, they will be able to bring managerial skills onto the table so that they can scale this company from a project of several enthusiasts into an operation of hundreds, if not thousands of people. So that's one of the things that I also want to see.
So let me interrupt you at this point and just make sure I'm following you correctly. Okay, so let's take a hypothetical example and say we've used the orange entrepreneur in Barcelona example before, an entrepreneur selling oranges, an orange selling startup. So let's use
Finally,
that.
I'm going to start this business.
Yeah, okay. So
obviously there's a market. Two people are interested.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that the investor or potential investor doesn't care that the CEO loves oranges. That's table stakes. Loving oranges, he doesn't want to see my passion for oranges. That's table stakes. It's just assumed that Matt loves oranges. And the CFO, let's say the CFO grew up on an orange farm and thinks that oranges are great too. So the potential investor he isn't really impressed by that. Matt, the CEO loves oranges and the CFO grew up on an orange farm. That's great, but tell me something valuable. So that stuff doesn't matter that much. What does matter is the management skills. And that's great if I'm Elon Musk and I can say, well, this orange startup, in order to scale from one employee to 1 million employees, that's no problem. I've done that 1 million times before. In fact, I started PayPal and so scaling up from 1 to 1,000 is no problem. And my
Yeah.
CFO also started up PayPal. And so my CFO is not going to have a problem with building a large company. Nobody's going to have a problem with building a large company. We're very familiar with the management. But if I'm not Elon Musk and I want to convince the potential investor that I am a good bet when it comes to building this startup. If this startup is successful, Matt and his CFO are going to be able to build a good company. How do I do that? What can I show if I'm not Elon Musk?
Well, first of all, speaking of oranges or any kind of project, you will need to be able to show me that you can make the sale.
Okay.
You love oranges. Great. You've grown up basically together with the orange trees. That's perfect.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't mean you know how to sell oranges, and you need to be able to show that, because unless you can sell them, then your passion means nothing,
Okay.
especially in the scope of this project. So you need to be able to demonstrate how you're going to be able to execute the business plan of oranges, and in this case, how to sell them. Whether you need like if you need the technology to do that, okay. If you need the marketing to do that, okay. So you should be able to get those people into the project if those are the things that you need, and basically show me how we're going to sell. Now, about selling, I am guilty of this at the time, because I also used to claim that I could sell. And now looking back, now I can, but at the time, what I was doing was not selling. It was something completely different. Many people claim that they can sell, but I think there's a difference between trying to sell something and doing good sales, in a way that resonates with your potential clients. So, and being successful in it. I wouldn't call myself a successful seller, for example. So I know where I stand. I function much better in terms of selling with a fewer number of people in a limited scope. But then I'm not claiming to I'm not claiming to be an entrepreneur with the hopes of starting a company and making it, a huge operation. That's why I know my limitations.
Okay.
In the presentation, apart from everything that I talked until now about the team, one of the things that I also want to see is, how are you going to make the sale? Remember, we talked about this, finding the first customer, and basically here I want to see a little more information about that, related to the characteristics of the team members.
So when I am describing myself and my CFO and my other team members on the team page of my pitch deck, so one of the questions that I need to keep foremost in my mind is, how can we explain to people that we're going to be able to sell these oranges?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And how? Oh, go ahead.
And how we are going to turn this company from a team of 5 people selling oranges to a 5,000 or 500 people of running a regional or international orange selling operation.
Okay, so
that's where the managerial skills come into the picture.
So let's continue with our hypothetical example. So me as a CEO, I have never built a team, so I can't really lay any claim to that. But my CFO, he didn't build a team, but he worked for a large company. Let's say, for example, he worked for Unilever or something for 5 years. Is that going to be enough to say that, okay, well, the CFO didn't build a team, but he had exposure to the operations of teams? Do you think that's going to be enough?
I wouldn't say it would be enough. I would say it would be a benefit. But like I mentioned before, the main thing would be to show me that A, you either have those skills, or B, you're willing to improve yourself on those. So take an honest assessment of your skill set. If you don't think that you have the sufficient minimums of managerial skills, well, okay, learn about them. Educate yourself. Get those skills. I don't think they are innate skills that come from birth. So either show me that you have them, or show me that you're willing to get them when the time comes.
Okay. All right. So before we finish up, because we're running out of time, but before we finish up, so I have a question for you. Okay. So one question that is on the potential investor's mind when he's looking at this team slide, one question that he has is, will these people be able to sell something, especially sell something to the first customer? And another question that the potential investor has is, will these people be able to build a business? Will they be able to build a team of people? So I need to make sure that both of these things are present on my team slide. Is there like a third element that I need to, that's running through the potential investor's mind, and I need to be looking at my team slide and saying, is this element on there?
Well, basically, maybe the third element could be how these things how the first and the second things that you put on the slide relate to the future growth of the company, and making the potential returns possible in the future. So I think a connection to these two things would be highly beneficial to talk about. Like I said, it's not very easy to visualize this, but as long as you keep things simple and focus on these questions that is going through the minds of the investors, and establish a narrative for that, I think you should be fine.
Okay, so that wraps it up for today. Give me a little preview about our next episode. So what is principle number 5? Today we did principle number 4, the team. So what is principle number 5?
Yes, the fifth one is scalability.
Scalability. So that's what
and you will be surprised. I have a lot of opinions on that too.
Oh, wow. So that sounds like it's going to be a good episode. All right. So that wraps it up for today.
We'll talk about that.
And then we'll continue on in the next episode with principle number 5. And thank you, by the way, again, to Mathieu Krause, who should probably be here on the podcast with us. All right. So it was nice talking to you, Alper.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right. Take care.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to The White Rabbit with Matt Krause and Alper Rozanes. You can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or through your favorite feed.